of this course. So I trust that you managed to learn some things in Unit 1, and we just want to pick up from where we left out. So in Unit 2, we will start being introduced to the venomous snakes that we have in Zimbabwe. And by the end of this unit, the participant should be able to do the following things. One, you must be able to name the 4 snake families to which the medically important venomous snakes in Zimbabwe belong to. Secondly, you must be able to explain the difference between a venomous animal and a poisonous one. Thirdly, you must be able to name at least 2 snake species which are not venomous but can inflict nasty bites. That is, not venomous but are dangerous snakes. And then finally, you must be able to state the 3 major clinical patterns associated with venomous snake bite in Zimbabwe. So let's go for it. So like we said earlier, and as revision, there are approximately 76 species of snakes from 7 families which are found in Zimbabwe. And of these, only between 19 and 22 are thought to be venomous, with the rest not being venomous. And of the medically important venomous snakes that we have in the country, they belong to 4 snake families, which we shall look at. And whilst I'm on this slide, it's important from the outset for us to understand that there is a difference between a venomous animal and a poisonous one. I've heard several times people referring to snakes as poisonous snakes, and that is incorrect. So in the next slide, I shall try to show you what the differences are between a venomous animal and a poisonous one. So just quickly before we move on to the slide which explains the differences between a venomous and a poisonous animal, just a quick reminder that the primary purpose of snake venom is not for the snake to bite and to kill you, but the primary purpose for or function for snake venom is for the snake to be able to eat. So it helps the snake to immobilize prey, and then also helps in digesting the prey that the snake would have immobilized. And like we said earlier, the snake venom is made up largely of proteinaceous substances, with over 90% of the dry weight being protein. So having said that, let's look at the differences between a poisonous animal and a venomous one. So right at the top here, we've got the definition of what a venomous animal is. So a venomous animal is an animal that produces a poison, which in this particular case is referred to as a venom. And that animal has the ability to deliver that venom through some body appendage. For example, in this picture, we see a snake. And if you note in the front here, they are what would refer to as the fangs. So if this snake bites a person, it has the ability to deliver the venom through these fangs. And therefore, this is referred to as a venomous animal. So snakes are venomous, scorpions are venomous, and spiders, they are venomous spiders. Then let's move right on to the other one, a poisonous animal. So a poisonous animal does not have a specialized poison or venom delivery organ. And normally toxicity would occur as a result of that animal being ingested or eaten, or if you make contact with it. The picture which I have here is of what is commonly referred to as a blister beetle. And this particular one, scientifically, it's Mylibris decincta. And my group has reported on a case of some children who harvested, if I can use that word, a few of these beetles, and they fried them and ate them, thinking that these were the edible beetles that we have here in Zimbabwe. And unfortunately, one of the four children died, two were seriously ill, and the one who didn't have much had some minor toxicological effects. So, this animal or this insect would be referred to as being poisonous because you have to come into contact with it, or more specifically, you'd have to eat it before you come across or you experience any of the signs of toxicity. And then moving on next to the difference between venomous and dangerous animals. So, even when we talk about snakes, there are snakes which are venomous, and we've defined what a venomous snake is, that it has an appendage through which it is able to deliver the poison or the venom. But there are some snakes which may not necessarily have any venom, especially those which hunt for prey and kill their prey through constriction. For example, the picture which we have here is that of an African rock python. And these rock pythons do not inject venom, but instead they depend on raw power and their ability to smother out or to crush prey before they swallow it whole. But if you take a look at this picture, you'd see that there are several needle sharp teeth, which, if the python does manage to get a hold of you or give you a bite, it might actually be a nasty bite. So even though the python might not be venomous, by virtue of it having these razor sharp or needle sharp teeth, it is a dangerous animal because this could really rip through your skin. And there have been documented cases of people who had to be admitted to hospitals as a result of this. So these snakes, although they're not venomous, are able to inflict serious injury because of the teeth. And another example of a snake that we have which is not venomous is what is referred to as a mole snake. And this is what a mole snake looks like. And we do have these mole snakes all over Zimbabwe. So it's also got pretty sharp teeth, and it can actually give you a nasty bite. And there's another picture of a rock python. And I love this one on the right. This is a friend of mine, Chawatama, who is a snake handler and a snake expert, showing these needle sharp teeth of the python. So in terms of the venomous snakes that we have in Zimbabwe, they fall into four major families. We have what are called the elapids, and the picture which I have here of a green mamba is a typical example of an elapid. And elapids typically have got fangs in the front which are fixed. And then we've got vipers. We'll talk a bit more about these snake families. And vipers, an example would be the puff adder. And classically, they're known for having a head which is almost like an ace of spades in when you're playing cards. And then we've got the colubrids, and this is the family where most snakes belong to, which are back-fanged, unlike the vipers, which are front-fanged, and the elapids. These have got small teeth or small fangs, which are located somewhere at the back of the mouth, which I'll talk a bit more about that. And then the final family of venomous snakes that we have, to which there's one which is important in Zimbabwe from a medical perspective. We have the African burrowing asps, and they're almost back-fanged but long teeth, which they're able to rotate. In fact, with a snake, it's practically impossible for you to actually hold it by the neck without it rotating and giving you a jab with one of its fangs. So concerning these snakes, bites from the colubrids here, which are they've got extremely potent venom, especially if it's the boomslang, They are pretty rare, and that's a good thing. And most bites that we get in Zimbabwe, as well as elsewhere in Africa, is a result of the vipers, especially the puff adder, which is widely distributed, but it's also got some pretty interesting mannerisms or behavioral traits, which make it a snake that many people encounter and are bitten with. So we'll deal with these snake families a bit later on when we look at the individual species. And then finally, I just want to say a little bit about the clinical patterns of poisoning, of sort of envenomation from snake bite. So, broadly speaking, we've got three main types of envenomation or envenoming from snakes which are found in Zimbabwe. We've got cytotoxic envenoming, and cytotoxic refers to tissue damage. So, these are snakes which, when they bite you, result in significant tissue damage, like you have in this picture. Then we've got hemorrhagic or hematoxic envenomation or envenoming. And with these snakes, you find that people bleed to death, because here we have an example of someone who's been bitten by a saw-scaled viper who is bleeding from the gums and the mouth. And then the final clinical pattern that we have is that of neurotoxic envenoming, which affects the central nervous system. As you can see, this person is actually conscious, but they're failing to open their eyes in what is referred to as ptosis. So, having said that, it's time for you to go to the quiz and see how much you remember. I hope that you learned something from this particular lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in Unit 3. Otherwise, this is Professor Tagure, and I'm saying I am out. See you when we meet later. Goodbye.